I'm really happy to be here this morning with you all. Thanks for coming together. If you happen to be able to watch this live stream each morning, I'm not sure if you're only hearing the podcast version on Spotify or Audible or Amazon Music or Apple or wherever it is you're hearing this. But if you haven't yet gotten the chance to join us for the live stream, you can find us Monday through Thursday, usually sometime between 8 and 8:30, usually. At a few places. We're on YouTube. If you look up Journey Home Meditation on YouTube, you'll be able to find the live stream there, as well as Journey Home Meditation on Facebook or the Journey Home Sangha on Facebook. We're also streaming on Twitch and a couple other places. I don't actually really know what Twitch is, other than my youngest encouraged me to check it out and stream onto it, and it was relatively easy to do, so I did it. But the little placard that I had up this morning when it began, and I'm going to pull it up right now. It's a photograph of teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, and it has a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, and it says, "It is possible that the next Buddha will not take the form of an individual. The next Buddha may take the form of a community practicing understanding and loving kindness, a community practicing mindful living. This may be the most important thing we can do for the survival of the earth." And when I read this quote, I recognize that it may be a strange way to put it, because we often think of the Buddha as an individual, right? As an individual being, and as maybe even one singular individual. If you're of the Western mind, or you of the Western training, and maybe don't know a lot about Buddhist history and Buddhist practices. But Buddha means the awakened one. And there's been many, many examples of this over the existence of the history of Earth, right? It's not just relegated to one time period or one particular cultural understanding. That's simply one of the many wonderful translations we have of one enlightened or awakened being's teachings. But we've seen this in many places throughout history. And this notion that the Sangha, or the community of people coming together, practicing loving kindness, understanding, compassion, and mindfulness, that collectively being the awakened one, being the one to teach and bring forth new understanding, I think is wonderfully revolutionary. And that's something that is on my heart a lot. And one of the temptations with that is to think that this means that we have a community of like-minded people. And I don't know that that's necessary. I don't know that this is specifically talking about, monks in a monastery or devotees in an ashram. Uh, I definitely don't see this as being a prescription for robes and saffron. Uh, and this is not to disparage any of that. I love it. I think it's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. This is just to say that when we start to um, be opened by some new ideas, it can be tempting um, to think that this singular understanding is the path forward for everyone. And we often mistake the teachings for the teacher, and we often um, will not hear the universality of the deeper lessons and think that this may be the way forward for all. And I've been thinking about that a lot. Um, because where does that leave us um, if we're not a part of a monastery or an ashram or uh, a devotional religious sect, or if we're not brahmachari, we're not casting off our worldly goods and begging for a bowl of rice for sustenance each day. Where does that leave us? And how does this function? And further, like, what is the function of finding people with um, a similar kind of gentleness or goal towards um, your spiritual practice? And I think that maybe what it comes down to for me is the understanding that the reason that we gravitate towards people that sort of agree with us is because that basic level of agreement can remove some of the importance of personality from the interactions. When there's a greater um, when there's a greater purpose to service beyond getting what I want and um, having my personal desires met, um, that can oftentimes come with a sense of belonging in a way that we don't see in kind of a dog eat dog individualist way of being that many of us have been enculturated to and raised in. Um, so now when we're being of service, we're being of service to more than just my ideology. I'm being in service to even just the dedication. I'm being in service to devotion, and I'm devoted to service. Um, and understanding that, like any body, right, a body, like my body, my physical body, your physical body, it's made up of these sort of cohesive communities of like-minded cells. uh, and we have immune systems, and we have these uh, wonderful nervous systems that move electricity and neurons and things that I have no real true deep understanding of, all through our bodies, serving this greater purpose of the body, serving, doing what they do, not being expected to do what another does, and not expecting others to behave like them. And it's only through this level of devotion to what you can do, this devotional being to what you can bring into the space. This is your service. And it's only through this that it actually functions really well. Otherwise, the body gets sick. If we start to have an organ that stops behaving the way that organ performs, then it creates dis-ease. It creates levels of dysfunction. And I think when we're walking around in our day, in our society, if we can understand that each of us are here doing a function, and when we begin to expect others and other groups to change who they are for our benefit, for our seemingly our benefit, we can forget. We can forget what our function is. And this isn't to say that we don't perform our roles. For instance, similarly to an immune system, which comes and stops disease from finding foothold and causing harm, similarly, peace activists can go and stop police from performing harmful, acts against the people. People can go and stop the trains from transporting bombs, or go and ram whaling ships, or perform direct action on earth-destroying machines, as sort of the function of that organic entity. And this is where I think we sometimes get lost in the spiritual sort of identity, is that we forget that we are spiritual biological beings, that there is an ability for us to perform loving kindness, compassion, and understanding as a way forward, as a way to introduce to the greater being, the greater community, a way of being. And I think that this means that when we're talking about the community being the Buddha, when we're talking about the next sort of a awakened and being, won't necessarily be an individual. It's going to be this understanding that we're awakening into this communal being, understanding that I am not an isolated individual, that I am a part of a functioning, living, breathing entity of existence. I think that's a good way forward for me, because this is how I can look and see myself in others and see others in myself. And I think it's the time that we look at someone with pure rejection, that we are unable to see ourselves in them and unable to see this person in ourselves. This is the time that we have work to do. This is the disease of losing the function of the whole. And I don't know what that means for you. And I don't know what that means for me some days. I just know that I tend to function much more wholly and healthily and happily when I can take the mindful moment to see myself in anyone. And if I can love that person, that means I can love myself. And that's not something I've always known how to do. And I don't know about you, but it's something that I think is really helpful. So, those were my thoughts this morning, thinking about community and thinking about what it actually takes. It doesn't take everyone looking the same or thinking the same or speaking the same. It just takes being able to look at everyone and seeing within them a spark of similarity, a spark of familiarity, and loving that thing. If nothing else, loving that thing. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear where you are in your journey towards finding that wholeness within the self and how others play into that. Because I think that when we can recognize um, that in some way, in some fashion, others do inevitably play into my spiritual practice. This is not an isolated conversation that um, without being able to engage on a level of deep love, uh, I'm still not there. And maybe that's just me. But either way, I think I'd like to share a practice if we can this morning. So why don't we come together and find our meditation posture? Our meditation posture is that place of balance within our bodies, the space of the least amount of stress or strain. In yoga practices, the position is called the asana. Each body position is a different asana. And in Sanskrit, the word asana translates roughly into English as seat. So as we're taking the position, the meditation posture, the asana, we are becoming the seat. This is not about taking a seat or sitting on the ground or sitting in any particular way. This is about actually allowing ourselves, our bodies, our minds, our emotions, all of this to become the seat, to become the place of rest where our spirit can come and be. We are the seat of the soul. So in this practice, which is a devotion to breath, just sit our bodies in a way that it can become the place to receive breath, receive spirit, receive life. Stretching and lengthening the spine, opening the chest and the heart by bringing the shoulder blades together just slightly in the back, palms facing upwards on your lap, legs in any number of positions, either crossed or feet flat to the floor or stretched in front of you. Whatever is most comfortable for you to sit in your body right now. Relaxing the forehead and the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the neck, letting the shoulders relax. Raising the chin to be somewhat parallel to the floor, opening up this breathway. And through the nose, we're breathing in. And release. And through the nose, we're breathing in to the bottom of the belly. And release. Continue following the breath, breathing in and letting go. Notice as you continue to breathe in this way, you extend the breath, breathing slowly and gently, longer inhalation, slower, longer exhalations. Find the pause between the breath. This space of just being. The emptiness between the sounds. The openness between thought. Breathe in. Feel the sensation of the body being filled with air. And the experience of surrender. Just stay with the breath. Extend the time between exhale and inhale and feel your way into this open and empty space. Breathing in, breathing out completely. And hold. Breathe in when you're ready. You can stay in this place as long as you'd like. When you're ready, begin to bring gentle movement into the hands, the fingers, the toes, and feet. And keep your full awareness on the sensations of the body as you do this. Take nothing for granted. Feel every sensation as an awakening. When you're ready to open the eyes, take in the room, the space around you. And if you can recognize for one moment this world, this time, this place, this existence, this body, everything is exactly where you belong. It's exactly where you belong. And if this is where you belong, in this world, in this day and age, in this time, in this place, then others belong here too. And if the behaviors, the actions of you or others are harmful, there are ways to bring healing, to shift that. And if you belong here, maybe that's what you're here to do, to help bring some loving kindness today, to bring some understanding today, to bring just a bit of compassion to the world today. One of my favorite quotes is, if someone hurts you, do not wish them harm, rather wish them healing. I believe we have the capacity for that. I believe we have the capacity to love even that which has caused harm. And we can heal. So thanks for being here today, friends. Thanks for joining on the journey home. Toast you with my cup of tea. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Hari Om.